My name is Esau Figueroa, but you already know that. In the last episode of Breaking In, I was describing that I participated in a call for a portfolio review, for a Marvel portfolio review in the Conque convention. They sent out a script, a 5-pager script for a Marvel comic, so that you have to do the script in the manner that you will in theory work if you were to do that job for Marvel Comics. So for us that went to the Cuber School, we have a little bit of experience in those realms. I just wanted to let you guys know what I learned through that experience, because it was a little bit daunting, even though we had 3 years of or the Cuber School. So it has been a while since I did that amount of work, but this was really a challenge for me, especially because now I'm working as a full-time freelance illustrator. So I only had around 6 days from start to finish those 5 pages together with my work. So I made a list of the things that I learned, and I just wanted to share the things with you guys. These were the they call, I guess, specs. So you have right here the logo of the convention, the Conque convention, and these are the instructions, and this is the script. Actually, this is the whole script that we have to work. This right here is the script, the 5-pager script, with my personal notes on how I tackled a script of this kind. So I just wanted to show you guys this is the script, and you have to do small notes to try to figure out which are the characters that are taking place. The places that are in the comic book is taking action, and the characters, and what kind of tone the script calls for. But first of all, I needed to know which characters were actually taking action in the script, and sometimes that takes time, because sometimes you just don't know the characters. You have to be current and relevant with whatever stories that are taking place in the market right now. But since it has been a little bit of time since I read an X-Men comic, so I had to find a way to look for reference for the characters and for the costumes and who is who, and the previous issues. So I will have an idea of how to continue this, because that is the sort of stuff that editors take into account, that you can follow the story that is being developed before, like an issue before, and that you are respecting the current outfits, the current timelines, and that you know how to lead a story and tell it in an interesting way. And I mentioned this because I saw some pages from another artist that also participated in the call, and he was using the characters, but he was using some other outfits from another timeline. So I think that is a huge no-no in regards to respect the source material. So keep an eye out for that. And so I had to look for reference of the characters, and here's what I'm gonna give a big shout out to my lovely wife Pikoko, because she really helped me out to do some research and finding out which characters were taking place and taking action. It was an X-Men book, but there were a lot of characters in the story with the reference material. So I love you, babe. So this is the source material that I printed, because I had to have all this reference. I posted it in front of me, like in my window and in my my walls of my studio, because you have to be looking on the reference material to keep the costumes consistent, and the proportions and the poses and everything. So after I had my reference material and I read the script, I was ready to do the pages. So here's where I'm going to go with my list, the one that I told you guys about. If you get stuck in anything, like in any part of the story, just move on to the next one, because sometimes having trouble on a certain angle or a certain part of the story that you don't know how to tackle. So if you get stuck with that, just move on to the next panel, or even if you have been working on that page for a long time, just move to the next page. That is one tip, because you cannot linger for long in anything, because time is on the essence. Time is money. Like the great Lee Wicks once said to my brother Lloyd and me, it's every line is a dime. Just think about that. Every line is a dime. So every line that you put down to paper, it is it's money, because time is money. You have to really think on what you are doing, and how that line is going to help you achieve that pose or that angle which best tells the story. Number 2, you'll do some good stuff. You'll do some good things, and some other that they are not so efficient. But just try to take and make a note of everything that you are doing, and take notes on that and repeat it for next time. But always keep experimenting. What I mean with this is that sometimes you try to, in order for you to tell the story in an interesting way, you have to be trying to do different things. So if you do, if you experiment and you do something that you think that it works, just make a note of that and try to apply that later on in another issue, or in another work, in another gig. But keep experimenting. Another one is give B pencil a chance. What I mean with this is that I usually just draw with really light or harder pencils. Excuse me. Like an F lead or a HB. I tend not to work with a B or a softer pencil, because they tend to smudge, and I don't like that, because it gets messy, and I don't like messy stuff in my work. It worked better for me to use a softer pencil, so I can put down the lines and they stay there darker enough. That was better, instead of using a lighter pencil and have to go over the line several times. And just 2 more. Practice small figures and faces. It is a little bit difficult to work with smaller figures and smaller faces. Don't spend a lot of time working on those figures, but do practice them, because at least for me personally, it is I tend to go to the cartoony side, especially with those figures, because they are a little bit difficult to work with, and I don't want that. So just practice those small figures, but keep in mind that they will shrink to a size that they might not look as big as you're working on them on the real page. 2 more. Tracing paper is key. So in old school days, people, before all the digital boom, people use just pencil and paper, and tracing paper. It is a really cheap and quick way to redo stuff. This occasion, since I had to work again really fast, I used tracing paper to correct some figures, and just shift them and rotate them to whatever I needed to, and then use a light box to retrace. Yeah, tracing paper, it was really helpful for me, and it might help you guys too, and to as a shortcut to to redraw your figures. And besides, I think it looks kind of cool to have them like this. You can always sell them as pieces in convention. So yeah, tracing paper, use them if you think that it will work. And last one, it will be when in the air, the characters can go in any angle. What I mean by this is that when you have characters that they can fly, or they are jumping really really high or anything, try to use different poses, not the regular ones or the ones that you are comfortable with, because when you're in the air, perspective lines and perspective, although they are still in perspective, you can just draw them in any angle and they will look believable. So try to experiment with different poses, and that's when you are I recommend you to work with the harder poses, because if you get good at the harder poses, the easier process just will come, faster and easier. Those are some of the things that I learned through this process. It was challenging and it was a little bit difficult, but I did the best I could with my skills and with the things that I have right now. Hopefully, you can grab some of this information and hopefully it will help you with your work. So that's it for now. This episode, this extra episode. I hope you guys like this and keep working hard. Never give up and never surrender. Yeah, keep drawing, man. Peace.